What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Triple Play Fantasy Network. I am your host, Kevin Coleman, at @theboys_22. As always, we're going to bring you some college football Devy preview. So for this week, we're going to be looking at college football week 3, Devy preview, and kind of going over some of the guys to watch, some games to watch. As always, I'm going to give you guys some game picks that I like. I went 2-0 last week. Easy. You just bet against Brock Purdy, guys. That's your life goal for the next few weeks. You only have one last year to bet against Brock Purdy. I'm just telling you guys. Then the Brock Purdy's going to be gone, and we're all going to miss him because we made so much money off of him being a favorite. But we're going to go into college football week 3. Don't want to spend too much time talking about Brock Purdy in my life. And let's go over some guys that I really like that you need to watch. Hey, Desmond Ridder, number one guy right now. In terms of, hey, can he get his draft stock up? They're playing Indiana, 6'4", 215. We know what he's done. Now, his 2021 stats, 34 for 47, 72% completion percentage. That percentage is the most important, 72.3%. Can he continue that is the key. Can he actually show that he can be accurate, make the right reads under pressure, and all of that? That was the biggest question mark heading into this season, and so far he's addressed that. He has 538 yards passing and 6 touchdowns, which everybody kind of assumed him to be that dual threat guy. Now he seems to be developing as a quarterback. And in this class, hey, who knows what this can be? And who knows what he's going to be able to become in this class here. Now, let's just take a look at his highlights and what he did. You know, for Ridder, it's never really been like this. I think he has the arm strength. It's just the consistency. Like when you watch him play, he can get that ball out quick. He has a different release, and you'll notice that about him. I think he can struggle with his release at times. A little wonky there. It takes him a little while. But when he does get it out quick like that, he's money. And I think that's the key thing that we've seen over the first 2 games. Now, we're still early here, but he has shown that consistency that you like to see, and he has the accuracy. There are times he makes throws, and he can make throws to the outside numbers, and he makes the right reads that you're like, hey, this guy could be an NFL quarterback. And then he also has his dual threat ability, and you'll see it here, his ability to kind of take it. And so Konami co-quarterback that everybody talks about, he has that ability too. So like when we're talking about him, and this is the type of threat that you see that you're like, hey, this kid can make it into the NFL. Now, there are some inconsistencies that he has, like I've been mentioning, and can he step up? I think against Indiana, he should have a good game. Let's see what he can do against Indiana. The key is Notre Dame. Can they beat Notre Dame next week? Or excuse me, in 2 weeks in October, first game of October. If they can do that, then we're going to be talking about Ridder as being maybe that guy potentially to have that next jump. I'm still out on Ridder as being like I saw someone as a QB1. To me, that's not it. But he does have functional athleticism. He can do that. He's someone to keep an eye on this week, and especially moving forward. Watch him in this week against Indiana. Can he progress? And in Notre Dame, big game in a couple of weeks, and can they upset them? Notre Dame doesn't look as good as we thought. Now, next guy, our boy, Anthony Richardson. I have him everywhere in C2C leagues because I absolutely love his potential. Had him everywhere in my preseason rankings because, hey, this kid can play. Now, so far in 2021, 6 for 11, not really a passer. We talked about that on my Florida preview. I mentioned it a little bit. He's got to develop there. Obviously, 54% completion percentage, those type of things. But 192 yards, 2 touchdowns. Where he comes from, though, is his rushing upside. 275 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, Anthony Richardson plays Alabama this week. Alabama is a 14.5-point favorite. I think that line shifted a little bit. But if he can play, and this kid is from his high school tape, you'll see this, then we're going to have a chance to see can Florida cover and can they win. Now, he came up a little with his hamstring, so he has a hamstring injury, and I hate that word, especially when it comes to injuries. But if he can do that, shows his rushing side, Alabama's going to be in some trouble, and you'll notice that about him, and that's where he's at. He can throw, though. He has an ability to throw, but he's very, very raw. So when we're talking about this, but he's one of the best athletes in college football already, bar none. Anthony Richardson is one of the best athletes in football, and this right here is what sets him apart from everything. His ability to run, scramble, his athleticism, and he's special. Like when we're talking about Anthony Richardson, we're talking about a special kid. He's going to take over that starting job from Emory Jones. I understand I understand Dan Mullen's ability. I know what he does, and I know how he talks. But if you want the best player on the field to give you the best chance to win, it's him. That's just what he does. He's a special athlete. You'll see it from his tape here. And this is what he does right here. This is just incredible. This is just the type of player that he is and the type of athlete that he is there. So those are the type of things to look at. Watch for him this weekend. If he can get into playing time and get out there against Alabama, we could be talking about Anthony Richardson being that next star. And of this freshman class with quarterbacks could be loaded. And we're talking about Quinn Ewers being there. He's obviously not there yet. Tyler Bunch should look good against Notre Dame there. So if he can do this, if he can get out on that field, watch Anthony Richardson. Watch what he's able to accomplish at Florida. And, hey, we could be talking about upset alert if he can get on the field. Now, I know Alabama's good. I still picked Alabama because of the hamstring injury. But if he's healthy, we could be saying something here. Now, let's go to running backs. Another kid that, I think just deserves a shout out. Tyler Goodson from Iowa. Iowa's 2-0. They've looked good the last two games. 40 attempts, 150 yards, and 2 touchdowns, 4 reception, 18 yards. And he's just a consistent running back. He's not someone that's going to be touted out there as being that guy. He has the receiving capability out of the backfield, which I really like. He has good contact balance. I think he's fluid, and when he hits the holes quick, you'll notice it. His ability to kind of hit the holes and explode, and you'll see that burst, and you'll see that athleticism. He's always had that. So when you're looking at Goodson, I think that he kind of got – I don't want to say he got shot down a little bit, but guys are taking Bergers from Wisconsin, some of these other guys, and he's just going to be a solid running back. Now, as far as pro running back, he's still not there yet for me. But in C2C leagues, in Devy formats, okay, I still think he has some value, and I still think he's a very, very good runner. They lean on him, and they're going to lean on him this year, especially with Petrus at quarterback. So give me Goodson. Watch Goodson this week. Again, he doesn't have that top-end speed that you like to see, but he's just a very solid runner in between the tackles. He's got good vision, and you can't really teach that. To me, you either have it or you don't. He'll never be a burner, but his ability to kind of hit the hole quick, you'll see it here. And he has some athleticism, and he has that vision to know where he's supposed to be going. So he's got Iowa on the right track. Iowa looks good again. Obviously, that's kind of what they are, 9-10 win season, and we're going to be there. But look for them to lean on him. Look for him to hit the hole quick, and his vision is what sets him apart from other runners in that conference. All right, next guy that I definitely want you guys to make sure you take a look at, just in terms of what he's been able to do this season, is Treylon Smith. He kind of came out of nowhere for some people, and as my buddy Jeff likes to talk about, I have a type for running backs. So 5'9", 190, 2021 stats, 34 attempts, 177 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also has a reception for 10 yards, and he's just looked good for Arkansas. Obviously, they annihilated Texas last week, and we saw that game. But, again, Treylon is always going to be underrated because he plays for Arkansas, and Arkansas, as we've seen, hey, they're 2-0 this year, and a big reason why is because of their running game, and a big reason why is because of Treylon Smith. Now, you'll see it here. He's strong, man. And I think he's very compact, even though he's 190 pounds. And, again, I know that because I'm the biggest snob when it comes to running backs and their size. I do like these guys that have that low contact balance, are able to kind of get that receiving work. Now, let's talk about it as a Devy asset. Smith can be a Devy asset because of his receiving ability. Like, he has good receiving ability, and he can catch. And when you notice him, he doesn't just catch, swing passes those in. He can run routes. I love this run from him. I always love this run from him, getting inside, getting those jump cuts. Like, those are the abilities that Smith can have, and that's what he's there for. But this is what just sets him apart for me in terms of, like, can he be relevant, especially in these classes when we're talking about running backs. He has that receiving upside, and that's what I like to see from him. Obviously, he hasn't got that this year. They've been leaning on him more in the run game. That's okay. He's gonna get that at some point. And right here, you'll notice it. Okay, like, he has just that. I hate to say that dog in him a little bit. Kind of reminds me of Colin Hill. I know he's not as big as Colin Hill was, but just kind of knows where to go, finds those holes quick, isn't afraid to lower his shoulder, has good contact balance, and has receiving ability. And I think those are the things that we're going to have to talk about when we talk about him as a prospect. So keep an eye on him. Keep an eye on Arkansas, 2-0. Could the Hogs be back? That's always a question mark. It's always better when the SEC and when the Hogs are back there. But, again, take a look at Treylon Smith. Remember his name, listen to him, watch him this season, see if maybe he can kind of rise up in that class and be a better running back in that running back class. It's got some question marks. Now, let's go to wide receivers. Johan Dotson, for me, is a guy to definitely take a look at. They're playing a huge game against Auburn this week. 5'11", 184, 2021 stats already, 10 receptions, 167 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's looked great. And, I actually talked about him as being a kind of an asset. In Devy leagues this year prior to the season started, just because of his receiving ability, his hands. He's got strong hands. You'll see that right there on that one-handed catch that he has. He's explosive. And you watch this, I mean, that's a man's catch right there, okay? Obviously, this is from a little bit from last season as we saw, but I think it just shows you kind of how explosive he is. He always finds the open seams. He's kind of like Diami Brown a little bit from the Washington Redskins, the old North Carolina wide receiver. Like, he'll find there. I don't think he's as fine-tuned as a route runner as people expected, but when he gets a clean release, and you'll notice it here, like, he can take it. It's when he gets pressed a little bit, I worry. Once he gets that clean release and he goes, he's a legitimate wide receiver, Johan Dotson. But when he does get pressed a little bit, I think that's where we're going to have to learn from him as a prospect. I do like that he can play from the outside and in the slot. I think that he is versatile in that format. So that's nice to see. I don't want just a slot receiver in college. I want someone that play on the outside, and he can do that. So big game for them this week. Can they beat the SEC opponent in Auburn? Dotson's going to have to be that kid that does it. And it's always his yak ability, his big game threat. I think that's where he's going to make his money, and that's where he's going to make his money in the NFL. Can he be that big game threat? Obviously, he needs to work on a few things. Consistency, can the quarterback play be there? Those are all things that we have to question. But big game against Auburn, we'll see what he can do. Now, my last guy that's starting to come on a little bit, LV Bunkley Shelton from Arizona State. 2021 stats, nothing that has popped off yet. 6 receptions, 65 yards, and a touchdown. We saw it last week, the touchdown. You know what? I love LV Bunkley Shelton. I think from Arizona State, he's going to be fine. And when you're watching his tape, especially his high school tape, as we've seen here, he can catch. He's got good athletic ability. I think he's an athlete. Right now, I don't know if anybody knows, he's playing with – he changed his number to number 6 because his father passed away. And so he's playing with a heavy heart this year, so I'm definitely rooting for him. I'm a sentimental guy as a dad and stuff, so I want to see him do well. But he does have that ability. He's the number one option on that Arizona State team. That Arizona State offense has not been great this year, I'll be honest. It has not really reached its full potential. It feels like they're kind of going through the motions. The biggest reason why is they got to get Shelton more involved, and I think they're going to do that. But you'll notice it here. In high school, he played an inside-outside. He's able to kind of make any catch that was thrown his way, and he's been developing slowly. I think that this game, they're playing BYU this week, is going to be his breakout game. I think that we're going to see LV Bunkley Shelton have a great game for us. Like, wow, he had all these catches. Where did this kid come from? And we're going to start seeing some return on our C2C vet rosters, definitely. But definitely his Devy rosters, I think we're going to see a little bit more of a value increase there. But big fan of Bunkley. I'm rooting for him big time because of his father and everything that happened there. Now, let's go through some of my game picks and go over it. But before we game picks, these are the guys I want you guys to take a look at. Ritter this week. Anthony Richardson, Tyler Goodson, Treylon Smith, Johan Dotson, and LV Bunkley Shelton. Now, as far as my game picks go, here are the games that I'm picking this week, and I think that you should too. I'm going to be taking Arizona State minus 3.5 over BYU. I'm a big fan of this bet. I know BYU has looked okay. They just beat Utah. I just think Arizona State's offense is too good, and I don't think that BYU can step up with them. They played in a rainy game against Utah in a weird kind of run game script, and it was one of those things that it just didn't fit well for Utah. Arizona State's too talented, and if Arizona State has a shot to win the Pac-12, which I think they do, they're going to cover this easy. Now, next game I'm going to pick, and this is the one I've been going back and forth on. I'm going to take Auburn as underdogs against Penn State. I just don't believe in Penn State. The quarterback situation, that defense is a little shaky. I do think that Auburn has more talent on that field. The only thing is I'm betting Bo Nix, and that scares the shit out of me, so I will be honest. Bo Nix has looked good this year. We've seen his progression as a quarterback, probably because of his head coach. Harson's there now, and not Gus Malzahn, so he's kind of limiting the mistakes. So give me Auburn as a rare underdog on the road. I do think SEC matters, and I do think that ability matters. I think they're going to come out ready to go, and even if Penn State wins by 3, I still think Auburn covers this at plus 5. And then my kind of lock of the week is going to be Ohio State minus 24.5. I know that number kind of shocks people when we speak of betting in college football, but Ohio State's pissed after what they did after that loss to Oregon. They're going to make a statement. Ryan Day is going to make a statement. I think C.J. Stroud's going to have a big game. I think TreVeyon Henderson's going to have a huge game. So I'm taking Ohio State with the points because they're going to try to blow this team out. Tulsa's not looked good this year. Give me the points, and that's kind of where I'm going to go with those 3 games. So those are my 3 games of the week. I don't want to say locks, but those are the games that I'll be betting personally. Every bet I show you guys, I bet personally just so I get held accountable. And if I lose, then, it matters to me as well. So I appreciate you guys taking a look. As always, I'll be here every Friday morning going over the games of the week, the players to watch. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Be on the lookout for tomorrow. We're going to do a monkey knife fight. Prop betting for college football, a couple things. I'm going to throw it out on our YouTube channel and on this on live stream. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Until next time, I'll see you all later.